Hey, good morning. We're back with Brooke and myself on Sunday morning at 11:30, talking about Dr. Mao's latest book, the Live Your Ultimate Life, based on he calls it the ancient wisdom to harness success, health, and happiness. He's also the author of Secrets of Longevity and lots of other things, and Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine. Anyway, so we have been going through the book the last several weeks, if not months, I think. We're now talking this week, we're up to what he calls the journey of your life. And so he's gone through our different elements of the 5 different elements: wood, fire, earth, and so forth. And now he's talking about well, we've already discussed like figuring out your goal and how to go through those steps. And now he's giving some tips on the things that will stall many of us. And he says one of his titles is Breakthrough Fear and Inertia with Your Elemental Strengths. And of course, each of the 5 element personalities has particular strengths. So the idea is to use those strengths to break through our human fear and tendency just to kind of stop and not go forward. Okay, so I kind of equate, he talks a lot about the fear. I kind of equate it to kind of our habits. We're so used to working a certain way and thinking a certain way. And so we kind of get used to doing the same old thing over and over, whether it may be good or bad for us. So if you're trying to change career, change whatever, it's difficult because of all those habits that we've practiced for so long. So anyway, so he says, for most people, it is the fear of change, which is understandable. It's rooted in the primal desire for stability, predictability, and permanence that arose from the hunter-gatherer nomadic experiences of the human past. So, for millions of years, it was good to, kind of be stable and have everything predictable, because any kind of a change might be dangerous to your life if you just picked up and moved to a new territory real quick without considering there might be lions and tigers there or something.
Yeah.
Okay, but in our fast-changing world, it's not quite so beneficial. So he says, he asks some questions here, which is kind of interesting. What is the cost of remaining in the status quo? And will you have any regrets at the end of your life?
Such massive questions.
Yeah. To me, that's kind of a tricky one, regrets, because I've kind of thought for years to kind of not have regrets. In other words, you kind of accept change, and whatever happens, happens. You try to do the best you can, of course. But if things change and my life changes, I'm not sure that I want to regret anything necessarily.
But see, you're water, so see, you follow your nature, where like I'm kind of similar, so that you just kind of go with the flow, but not everybody understands that as well as you and I do.
Yeah, good point. In fact, a couple of pages later, he mentions that about the water. And of course, our usual way of thinking, we think, well, my way is the best way. So
exactly.
I figure, well, if I don't have any regrets, then why do you have regrets? So that's where that comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, and then he talks about, equating your life's journey to starting out in a car, that it takes more energy to go from a standstill to moving, and likewise in your life journey, it would take a little more energy to take your first step in the journey. But once you get started, the path requires less energy, which I think I can equate to looking past decades where I changed kind of jobs and things I was looking to do fairly often over the years. And once you get going, it's kind of like automatic pilot. It doesn't take a whole lot of energy. Okay, so anyway, so he says, use your elemental traits to help you break through inertia. For example, if you're wood element, use your strong drive. If you're fire, stoke your passion. If you're earth, focus on the rewards. If you're metal, appeal to your logic. And finally, if you are water, tap your intuition. So using those strengths.
Oh.
Have you used your strengths, Brooke, in your journey?
The intuition just made me laugh because I'm not kidding, almost my whole life, I have always had such a strong intuition when it came to myself and to the people around me, to the point where people would be really taken back by my intuition. And of course, they would feel threatened and they would turn it around on me, and they would push me down and tell me that I was crazy, or, like they would just project back onto me that there was something wrong with me. And without fail, I would later learn that my intuition was correct. And I kept bouncing back and forth. And it actually just happened to me this morning, where something happened a month ago, and I just knew. And then this morning I find out that I was right. And I'm really trying to work so hard on not allowing other people to affect how I think of myself and the world and my intuition. And this morning I said, that's it. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to trust my intuition. So we'll see if it works next time.
All right. I just read something a few days ago about somebody had said, you can control what you say, but you can't control what people hear.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
What we hear is not always what somebody else really said or meant.
Very true.
Yeah, okay. All right, going on to the next page, Brooke, he says, creating value and helping another person. You want to read through a little bit of that one?
Sure. It says, as you have discovered and learned about your core element, I hope that you have come to appreciate the strengths and gifts you possess that create value for another person. For example, if you are a wood authoritative personality, your inborn leadership emboldens you to right wrongs, break down barriers to equality, and do whatever it takes to make meaningful things happen for others. Fire personalities inspire others with their principles and beliefs, helping them to make better choices and to feel special, loved, and connected. Earth bestow compassion, service, and loving care, which extend into building supportive teams and systems. Metal, methodical personalities excel at developing rules, structures, and processes that facilitate achievement and success. A water person is someone who helps create clarity, advance innovations, and turn crisis into opportunities that improve lives for others. You know what I was just thinking while I read that? Can you imagine like a community of people who all share all those things and each person live to their full potential? Imagine the community that would make, that everyone was able to give to the fullest extent, their gifts. Imagine what an amazing society that would be. I wish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, it's interesting too that he's emphasizing again what he's done in previous chapters of the book, that you're creating value and helping other people. Mm-hmm. So even though it's your life journey, it's not all just for you. No. It is part of that journey, and maybe even a big part is helping other people. So use that your element strengths to help the other folks.
Yeah.
In the last year or so, I've had an experience with we have a homeowners association, and I've gone up against some of the things they've been doing because they seemed a little goofy, if not wrong in my mind. Of course, my mind might be a little wrong too. So anyway, so I confronted them saying, well, our rules of the organization says here's what you're supposed to do on this issue, here's what you're supposed to do on this issue. And some of the fellas in the group seem to have the wood personality, the inborn leadership, breaking down. And so when I read this, I was thinking, well, yeah, I mean, there's strong personalities. And if they would think about helping the other people, in our case, it'd be helping the community in general, as well as the other members of the group, then they would be a little more flexible in their thinking and in their actions.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the guys who's definitely an authoritative personality, according to Dr. Mao, he could use his inborn leadership to right wrongs, break down barriers to equality, and do whatever it takes to make meaningful things happen for others. But as it happened, it was kind of almost the opposite. It was like, well, I'm speaking as if I'm that guy. I'm saying, well, we've been doing this for a long time, and this is the way we've been doing it, and that's the way we're going to do it. Instead of, well, let's see what the other people think, kind of, and then we wouldn't have had so much conflict going on. So, and then since me and you are both the water folks, Dr. Mao says, water-wise person is someone who helps create clarity, advance innovations, and turn crisis into opportunities that improve lives for others. So on my part, sometimes I'm a little stubborn, and instead of creating clarity, I may create the opposite, just because I'm a little stubborn in trying to get things done. And I'm not quite sure how to create crisis into opportunities, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Because I see the crises. I know sometimes you can, like in business, I've been able to turn that around. But I have probably a little trouble with people to people. If there's a crisis on a personal level, I have a little trouble trying to turn that around yet. So that's something I need to work on.
I definitely see, like, I read that and I see myself. It's taken me years to understand it, but I most certainly, I follow those things. And I think, like, so that turn crisis into opportunity thing, I do that so well. I am the person that, like, when everybody's flipping out, I'm calm, and I actually, like, pick up the leadership, which would confuse me sometimes, where I'd be like, well, I'm obviously a leader. Sometimes I fall into meddle a lot too because of that, because people look at me that I'm so analytical and I'm so able to pick apart things. And so when I first read this, and when I was first doing my test, I fell all over the place. I'm like, I'm a little of this and I'm but reading that, no, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, talking about the metal, let's go over to 288, and he gives some tips for the metal element type.
Yep.
And of course, metal elements are guys who make checklists and do everything very logically. So he says your tendency is to be careful, meticulous, and comprehensive, which increases your likelihood to succeed. Yeah. But on the flip side, you may be prone to over planning, where you become bogged down. So his recommendation is you need to let go of the need to control the outcome, and instead cultivate the trusting nature of the earth element, who's kind of like the caring personality. And in fact, some of these little phrases are hitting with me because I read some stuff not long ago about the need to control the outcome. We're kind of raised to always, especially if you're a planner or the metal, you plan A, B, C, D because you want the outcome of E.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it may be, well, the things I was reading was that it is, in fact, better for your happiness and health to not control the outcome.
Yeah. Or to realize that you have to go A, G, C, D to get to something else, you know?
Yeah, so trying to predict the outcome and rely on the outcome is probably not going to make you a happy camper in the end, as it turns out.
Yeah.
Okay, so then again, on the earth element, he says, have faith in the clarity of purpose and a plan that's good enough in hand, because you will eventually get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So that's good advice there.
Yeah.
And then since we're water, let's go to the next page and read us through there, Brooke, about tips for the water element type.
Sure. Being intuitive, contemplative, and low-key come naturally to you. The water element / wise person, your conservative and discreet predisposition keeps your goals, agenda, and plans hidden from others. So it may be more challenging to enlist help to pilot your ship. As you set sail for your destination, you may also fear the unknown. And if you allow this trepidation to settle in you might find yourself paralyzed and unable to take action. Likewise, your tendency to go with the flow may allow the currents to take you too far off course and end up in a different place than you originally intended. Worry not, as the water personality is adaptable and agile in reformulating alternate ways. Eventually, you will reach your destination. You may benefit, however, from borrowing from the metal element's methodical planning in order to avoid frustration and floundering. Well, I did that.
Yeah, and of course we talked about that earlier today, that the going with the flow may allow us to be off course a little bit, but then the next sentence he says, worry not, because you're adaptable, having that type of personality, and agile in reformulating alternate ways. So you can still go with the flow, because eventually you're going to get where you need to go anyway, is kind of what he's saying. Which may or may not be as true for the other personalities, although to some extent, every personality probably could heed that advice. But particularly for us, where we do kind of probably get off course more than one of the other elements, especially like metal maybe, or wood. Yeah. Just don't worry about it. You'll eventually reach your destination.
Yes, you will.
Okay. All right. Let's go back now and hit the, this will be 285, the wood element. And of course, he's mentioning that the wood element has a strong drive. Once you're clear in your mind about your goal, you have less of an issue in initiating your journey. Because the wood element personality just is kind of like a go-getter, just is goal-driven, Dr. Mao says, and you get your resources together and the people necessary to meet your goal. And in fact, which is in our homeowner association, we were redoing our entrance where we have some landscaping and little wooden curbing and a sign, and fortunately, the wood element types took charge of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they were out there working in the hot sun, painting the wood and digging holes and cleaning up everything. And so they obviously had their goal. They had the ability to get the resources together and the people necessary, and they finished it up. So
That's awesome.
There they go. All right, but then Dr. Mao says wood elements prone to being flummoxed when the situations go awry or when people fail to perform to your expectations. So although I wasn't around while they were doing that, if the scenario arose where one of the guys maybe didn't show up as expected or something, you could expect that maybe with the wood personality guys would get a little upset about the guy didn't show up.
Uh,
So, okay.
yeah.
So Dr. Mao says frustration can turn into an aggressive forcefulness that can potentially destroy the goodwill and morale of the team. So he says cultivate. Well, here we go. He's talking about the water. Cultivate the adaptable, go with the flow qualities of the water element. Yay!
Yay.
So he is in fact bringing up that even though you're a wood element, you sometimes need to do the go with the flow of us water folks, water element. So prepare for and be open to taking detours instead of the tendency to demolish what gets in your way. Yeah, so good advice again. Okay, then the next page, he's got tips for the fire element. You want to go over that one, Brooke?
Sure. Your natural ability to inspire others with your vision and passion helps you with any new initiative. Connecting with people comes easy to you, as it is motivating them to join your cause. What you may want to look out for is the risk of flaming out before the task is complete, as you are often full of passion at the beginning of an endeavor, but see it wane or move to the next cause. Therefore, your challenge is to stay the course and persevere through any difficulties. Cultivate the wood personality trait of determination and persistence. And when you start to feel the edges burning out, re-energize yourself with the original purpose and intent of the quest.
Yeah, and of course, we've all seen that happen to our
Oh, yeah.
friends and family, flaming out. And then once again, Dr. Mao is saying, well, take a look at another personality type and use some of their strengths. In this case, he points out the wood personality of determination and persistence. So when the fire folk flames out before completing the task, try to cultivate cultivate the personality trait of the determination and persistence of the wood personality. All right, and then our last tip for the earth element type, Dr. Mao says the earth element has the trademark of faithful, steady, and continual progress. Everyone can count on them because of their caring, nurturing, and selfless nature. Typically, I think of like a nurse or a teacher, or somebody's helping people all the time.
Yeah.
And he says a challenge you may face, though, is getting started. Your penchant is to, and I think he's saying getting started for yourself, because they can get started for other people without problem.
Yeah.
So he's saying your penchant is to tend to other people's needs before your own. So working on your own needs, path the project is slow going at best. And we've seen that, you got somebody that's passionate about nursing, passionate about teaching, passionate about taking care of relatives or animals or whatever, and they neglect their own self.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think of mothers. Mothers always put everyone before themselves,
Yeah. Yeah, and of course we're trained to do that. You don't want your mother to ignore the kids, so that's motherhood and apple pie, the American way, or something. So it's kind of interesting, why we don't. Well, I'm not sure. When you were growing up, did you have lessons from teachers, mother, parents about moderation in the mothering idea? I don't know.
Unfortunately, no. I grew up in a single parent household, and actually my mother is mentally ill, so I was raised by my father. But ironically, my father did teach me all that. My father's very much, I guess, a mix between wood and metal. And raising two teenage girls, my poor father had no idea what to do with these two emotional people. So he very much drilled us to, to settle down and to contemplate, and I guess he kind of taught me my metal stuff. I don't know. I definitely picked up the slack for my mom. I truly became the mom of the household, and you know, I guess I selflessly, excuse me, you know, put everybody before me, because if I didn't do it, no one else would. So I definitely was in, I guess I lived as an earth element for a large portion of my life, but I guess because my interior was water, I just slowly worked through all that. I mean, I used to, I've told you, I lost 90 pounds because eventually I said to my family, I need to come first. And I twisted it around in my head that I was going to show my children the way you're supposed to live. So in a way, I was still benefiting them by putting myself first, kind of thing. I guess I taught myself all this stuff. I don't know how I learned it all.
Yeah, so again, Dr. Mao says to take a look at one of the other elemental personality types to help you out. In this case, he's saying develop the passion of the fire element and the urgency of the wood personality so that you can commence on your own journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you're an earth element that want to care for other people, then cultivate some of that fire to do stuff for your own and just get started, and the wood personality to start on that journey of whatever it is to take care of yourself as well as other people.
Yeah.
And then he says, once you're progressing down your path, you can tap into your trusting and constant nature to keep you on track.
Yeah.
For yourself and for helping the others. Yeah, very good. Yeah, okay. Well, that's some pretty good good advice there to
absolutely
cultivate other personality traits as well as use your own to move forward on your journey. Well, we've done about another half an hour of good stuff there, Brooke. So why don't we close this session? We'll meet again next Sunday at 11:30 as usual, talking about ancient wisdom and living your ultimate life, and Dr. Mao's great advice through his books and teaching.
Yeah.
All right. So have a great week, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next time, Brooke.
Thank you so much. Have a great week.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.